It's now 5:30. I now call the Planning and Zoning Commission to order. We'll go ahead and skip the invocation and go to the Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Rankin will lead us in the pledge. Would you please stand?
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Rutherford?
Here.
Commissioner King? Here. Commissioner Evans?
Here.
Commissioner Griffiths?
Here.
Commissioner Laney?
Here.
Vice Chairperson Rankin?
Here.
Chairperson Zurcher?
Here. Moving on to approval of minutes, we have the minutes from the December 12th, 2022 meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from that meeting?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the December 12th, 2022 minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to announcements. Any staff announcements? I know Commissioner King has an announcement. Go for it.
I do. Thank you, Chair. Today is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, so I would like to take a quick moment to thank our law enforcement professionals that we have here in Prescott Valley and thank them for keeping our community safe and making sure that we continue to be one of the safest towns in Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 7, public hearing items. The only one on our agenda is 7A, zoning map change 22-009. Upon the application of Wyatt Orr, owner, a request for a zoning map change from R1L 70 Residential Single Family Limited to M1 Industrial General Limited on approximately 33 acres located on Attila Lane, approximately 1.5 miles north of State Route 169 and approximately a half a mile east on State Route 69. Take it away.
Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Commission, ZMC 22-009 is an application to rezone property from a general plan Tier 2 designation, if you will, to M1. It's a designation that allows for outdoor storage and that type of use on the property. This property was originally annexed in 2004. And it's been in the town for quite some time, since that time. The property to the south, there's actually 3 lots that are owned by Earth Resources Corporation, are already zoned M1. These are 3 properties to the north of their existing properties, also owned by Earth Resources Corporation. And they wish to okay, get back going. Well, doesn't want to cooperate today. Anyway, the request is to allow for storage of outdoor materials and things of that nature on their existing properties. At this point, I believe I've had several phone calls from the commissioners asking about the property, asking about the relative being on the property of moving forward. And the reason that we're looking at that property, there's several things about the property that are really not good for development, if you will. If you've noticed, the property is actually not bisected, but on the I guess that would be the southern boundary. The Agua Fria River runs through there, so there's a lot of unusable, developable property on the site. What the owner is asking to do is rezone these 3 properties to a M1 zone to allow them to continue to do what business they do in the town. And there's several good reasons to look at this zone map change. One is, as you know, we recently adopted a new general plan, and when that occurs, there's also always a few tweaks that need to be done to implement that new general plan. And this is one of those. As I mentioned to you, it's in a Tier 2 growth area, and our general plan talks about Tier 2 growth. and it actually talks about this area in particular, but let me read, if I may, to you what the general plan says, and it actually will, I think, identify to you why we need to redo this property. Tier 2 recognizes that approximately 1,500 acres of land immediately adjacent to the town boundaries. Well, this has been in the town for quite some time. It's one of those properties that I think kind of got overlooked in the general plan update. And so this is, but it does talk about development in that area. But when you look at things like physical characteristics and things of that nature, we look at that as an area that probably should have been included and zoned already. There's several goals and policies in our general plan that relate to this type of an action in our economic development element, actually. And in the Economic Development Act element, it talks about promoting and assisting the growth and vitality of existing businesses. Policy ED A2-1 talks about monitoring existing businesses in Prescott Valley and identifying the elements of a business retention program. And to me, this is taking an existing business and allowing it to expand where it's at and stay and continue to provide those types of jobs to several people in town. We go on with policies that talk about retaining and expanding existing businesses to match the town's industry targets and work to protect and expand the economic base. EDA 2.3 talks about encouraging the growth and expansion of existing industry by providing high-quality municipal services, facilities, and economic development assistance. And finally, EDA 2.4 talks about work with existing manufacturing firms to help them expand and increase their markets. So in other words, we're taking an existing business, allowing them to expand, continue what they do and what they do well, and employ people within the town. It's a challenged site as R1L70, which it came into the town as when it was annexed way back when in 2004. And it's basically just a placeholder until it's rezoned to other uses. In this case, the M1 industrial use makes sense. I believe I provided to you in your packets sheets that show what the surrounding land uses are and why this is not compatible with anything else other than an M1 designation. Staff looks at the boundary of the property and where the river runs through there, and I think this would allow the property owner, the Earth Resources Corporation, to continue to do business in town and to thrive and expand their business. The owner, Wyatt Orr, is here, and he would be glad to answer any questions, and I would be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Okay. Ernest, real quick, I just have one quick question before I get to the rest of the commission. Definitely what you just read to us by the general plan, and for those of people out there that don't necessarily speak general plan, this would just be classified as a zoning cleanup, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff from the commission?
I'd like to compliment you on the presentation in tying it to the general plan and the purposes of it. I like that.
Commissioner Griffiths?
No, thank you, Chair.
Anybody else? Commissioner Evans?
Yeah, when I read, kind of the continuation of an industrial zone, I guess that is correct, but you could also go to the other end of that general area, and it's mostly typified by residential or commercial. So it depends on what end of the horse you start at in describing it. Not a question, just a comment, and I've gone back and forth a lot on what I think of this proposal. I agree with what Commissioner Rutherford just said, but one question I have, and I don't know if it's for staff or Mr. Orr, I noticed that on lot ending in 043, there's been parking and storage on there for some period of time, which would be an unpermitted use, I presume, up till now. How long has that been going on, and have they ever been cited or talked to about that?
Commissioner Evans, at this point, I don't believe there's been any code enforcement actions on the property. I think it's storage of equipment that's already in close proximity, and that's what we're doing with this, is kind of doing the cleanup that should have been done on it.
Thank you.
And Mr. Orr is here to answer any questions if you have.
Okay, I might have one or two for him, too. Thank you.
Any other questions of staff from the commission? Thank you, Ernest. If there's anything else, we'll have you back up. This time, I'll invite the applicant up.
Good evening.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Wyatt Orr, Earth Resources Corporation, President.
All right. And Mr. Orr, do you have anything to add or highlight from town's presentation?
Bruce is correct. We have been in there for quite a while, yes. Just storing, we do not have a junkyard. It's all running equipment and/or parts from job sites. With the world that has changed, we now have to buy all of our parts up front, move them to our yard, store them, and then move them to job sites as the job progresses. It's typical now because of product line availability and sourcing availability and product hold-ups. So that's typically what we've done now is we store materials on our site and then we transfer them back to job sites as the job is ready for that typical material. So it's not a junkyard. Everything that's parked there now does run. It's mostly trucks and vehicles and traffic control and things like that. But yes, Bruce, you're right. I'm
No, it was just a question.
Guilty.
It wasn't wasn't a threat, just a question.
and I'll see you tomorrow.
Pay at the door. Might I ask a question?
Please.
I didn't drive, through your property and actually get on those 3 lots, but I was in the RV park and having a look around.
Sure.
Not to commit you to in any way to the answer to this question, but looking forward, do you see much expansion of your parking and storage from that lot 043, or is this just a good time to regularize the zoning?
It would be both. I mean, if your Google Earth picture, again, I'm an honest guy, if it was a little more current, 044, Mary has some storage on and parking on as well, same thing. If you guys can see there, the green area, do you guys have the same picture in front of you?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
The green area you guys see there is what we're going to call the middle plane. It's the plane of where our office is on the parcel south of there, the 041 Charlie parcel, is our building. You can see that. That building is 1 foot above floodplain. And it took us to fill almost 2 feet right there to make that about 1 foot above floodplain. And it took engineering to actually reassess the property, go through it, sorry, am I talking loud enough? Or I need to be on the record here? Okay. They actually had to go through and re-engineer the site, not the typical floodplain map. They had to do their own engineering, own analysis with water flows and current water flows and conditions to make that property work for that. So all that area in the green going north there is all floodplain. Of course, the area to the west of that, or left of that on the map, is all wash area. Yeah. So that's all floodplain. So we couldn't build it anyway unless we did a huge fill to get the building out of there. And we have no plans for other buildings. We don't need more building space. We just have somewhere, the economic world we live in today, if something were to happen and we have to bring our machines home, I'm not sure where we put them, all the toys. I can't put them in my house and do Humboldt. They don't like that either. So the upper tier up there on the right-hand side of the green area is about 45 feet in elevation above us. That area, of course, we don't want to propose put something up there. It's a nice area. It's beautiful. It's upper tier. It's out of the floodplain. We don't want any buildings up there. We don't need to expand any more than we are. Our building was built for the future and future office space, and we're happy with the size we are and comfortable there. It's just more storage for our outdoor stuff in the world that's changing with the parts and pieces. So.
Just one question is, I'm guilty. I did drive back quite a ways.
That's not guilty. You didn't get shot, did you? Though you're
No,
okay.
I didn't get out of the vehicle though. No, one question is, the power line that goes through the property, does it go through about the middle of the property?
It does not. That is actually right there on that map right there where it says state land. That power line runs east to west along that state land.
Oh,
right
okay.
there.
That was my only question because I just walking in or driving in there, I couldn't tell.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Yep,
Thank
you betcha.
Just one more quick thing.
Sure.
And again, looking at the topography, especially of the larger lot, in order to facilitate more parking and storage in the future as your business grows, Are you going to have to move much dirt around, or can you use that floodplain land? instead?
Floodplain land is plenty for us, yes. It works really well. There's plenty of space there for what we need and more than we're ever going to need. And yes, and of course, if something were to change in the future and we need another building, we would have to go through planning and zoning to come back to you guys to look at it and go, we want to propose a building here or anything else. But this is just outdoor storage is all the use we were asking for today.
Thank you very much.
And if I can expand with that, the floodplain area, actually, they can't expand it without going to FEMA for permission and then coming to the town for a permit. For as far as him parking vehicles, things that he can move on their own, that's perfectly legitimate to
Yeah,
park in a
understood.
floodplain area.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant or staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Orr. I applaud you for coming forward with this zoning change because it makes perfectly good sense. But I do have one question. You've already answered one of them, that the equipment to be stored is all operational.
That's correct, yes.
Are you required to take proactive measures to ensure that fuel or oil is not leaked from these pieces of equipment and going into our ground?
Absolutely, yes, of course. We have a sand oil interceptor on the property that is part of our permit originally for the building. ADQ does inspections on that and on the property. We welcome them to come out there and see us and see what we're doing. And we also recycle concrete and asphalt down there. And ADQ, we have a permit with ADQ, an air quality permit, and they inspect us, and they are probably the top of the list for violations and stuff. And we have a safety health director that is on that all the time and watching for spills or any kind of issues in the yard. And yes, with that wash right there, we're very, very sensitive to that. Along with our well. I mean, we have a well on that property that can pull from that wash. So we want to make sure it's clean and clean down the river for everybody. Sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Commissioner
Mr.
King?
Chair, thank you. Hello, Mr. Orr. Thank
Hi.
you for being here today.
Thanks.
So it's my understanding that, yes, this is on the floodplain, and currently this land is on a septic. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes. We couldn't get sewer to work to go through. So you see our building right there? We have water and power that run straight down across that triangle property line right there and then tie into town water and to APS power. We could not get sewer to design to work to flow there, so we are on septic at the back. Almost, you see where it says 3 parcels currently zoned M1 and it lists the parcel numbers right there. There's an arrow that goes right above that little square right there. That is where the septic is located. That's correct, yes. So we have a septic tank and leach field system, and then we have a separate sand oil interceptor that is just simply a holder.
Okay. I guess this is probably more of a comment. I believe, and maybe Fernando can correct me if I'm wrong, but every project that's been approved there over the last year or so has been required to be on a lateral. And so that might be something you need to put on your list or look into.
We talked about that at the time. In the past, the easement that was drawn through there to get utilities to where they belong to tie in does not work because it's upper land, and then a hole in the middle. And you can't get sewer to go uphill without something crazy. So we talked about that when we did the permit. We were allowed a variance on that and go to septic with the understanding at some point if that state land lease right there to the right of the triangle, at the bottom down there, is a triangle that we lease from state land at the moment. It's 9 acres. If that becomes something we can purchase or goes out to bid, I think the state land has to put them out to bid and we have a bidding war with somebody.
correct.
If we can buy that, then the road can continue at some point and we get utilities where they belong in a right road and right easement, and we could probably make sewer work then.
Okay.
Yep.
Great, but that's on your radar.
It is, yes. But we also understand that that system south there for the industrial park, where it says all M1 properties, is a dead-end system today. It's not going anywhere, so they're all on septic down there as well at the moment.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it.
Any other questions from the commission? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Because this is a public hearing item, I'll open the floor to public comment at this time. Is there anyone wishing to comment on this application? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the floor to public comment and bring it back to the commission. Is there a motion to approve zoning map change 22-009?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to approve ZMC 22-009.
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
And there is one condition on that, so that's with the condition. It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Griffiths,
Yes.
Commissioner Laney,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rankin,
Yes.
Chairperson Zercher.
Yes. Moving on to item number 8, under action items, is the election of officers. We do this annually. One time I don't think we actually did it was during our COVID year, and I think that was, everyone kind of got an extra year on stuff. So how election of officers works is that we'll open up the floor for nominations, I guess I should say from the commission, the dais, for chairperson and vice chair. If there are more than one nomination for any one position, it will go to a paper ballot. If there's just one nomination for one position, we'll just call for a roll call vote. Fernando, do you have anything to add?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So at this time, since we have the two positions, chair and vice chair, I'll go ahead and ask for nominations for chair.
I would like to nominate Matt Zercher as Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations for chair? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rutherford,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes?
Commissioner Griffiths,
Yes.
Commissioner Laney,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Rankin,
Yes.
Chairperson Zercher.
Yes. Of course, it feels a little weird voting for yourself, but yeah, it's just, all right. So at this time, are there any nominations for the position of vice chair?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to nominate Bria King for vice chair.
So Commissioner King has been nominated for vice chair. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Well, I'll go ahead and nominate Vice Chair Larry Rankin if he wants me. If you want the job, sir, it's yours again. If we vote on it, so I'll go ahead and nominate Larry Rankin for vice chair. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. So we'll go to a paper ballot on the vice chair vote.
Thank you.
And Fernando, you'll pick him up. Okay. We'll ask Kelly to tally up the votes here.
No hanging shots. Kind of dates this, doesn't it?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
We have 3 votes for Vice Chairperson Rankin and 4 votes for Commissioner King.
Okay, well, on a 4-3 vote, congratulations, Commissioner King,
Thank you.
the new vice chair. We'll now move to call to public. Is there call to public consideration, discussion, and comments from the public? Those wishing to address the Planning and Zoning Commission need not request permission in advance. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date. Is there anyone wishing to address the commission? Seeing none, we'll move to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you.